once again gathered today to address and talk about what it takes to save this great nation of ours from the evil clutches of Donald J. Trump and his legion of MAGA demons. All right. But before we get into that, let's take care of some housekeeping items. For those of you who do not know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's quite simple. The first H is, well, because I'm honest. I'm the most honest person on social media. Hands down, there's just nobody more honest than me, all right? You might as well pretend like my hands are resting on a stack of Bibles, all right? Loving, thank you so much, all right? Thank you so much. The second H is, well, because I'm humble. There's nobody more humble than me. Listen, if I get it wrong, I'll be the first to apologize, but here's the thing. I haven't been wrong lately. As a matter of fact, you can go look at that because you can just check out Donald Trump's poll numbers, all right? And you know the reason his poll numbers aren't that high is because of all the truth that keeps coming out, especially from people like myself, and actually for people like you too, all right? But that's why it's important to be humble, because when you're wrong, you got to admit it. And then the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, is because you've guessed it, I am and will always remain the most handsome. They hate when I say that, but I'm going to say it. All right, so like I was saying, what we're doing here is special. We hold these people on the right. I used to say that these people were my friends, but I'm at a point now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I don't know these people. These people are un-American. These people, they live next door to us. They live in society with us, but deep down in their hearts, they hate this country. And so what we do is we help them understand how they got to this point in this country where, people are not able to just kind of get along like they used to. I mean, there was a point in time where we used to never talk about politics, but now we have to talk about it, because every time you turn around and you turn on the TV or you open up your smartphone, you see that this current administration is hell-bent on just eroding the freedoms and liberties that actually are the bedrock. It's actually the foundation of this great country of ours. And if you go read what George Washington used to talk about, go read some of George Washington's State of the Unions. He basically told the Americans, and when they were forming the nation, that this is the kind of stuff you actually have to guard against. This is the kind of stuff. This is why they fled Europe to come over to the United States, because they didn't want to be worshiping a king. And what we have right now is a disease. It's a plague. I call it a plague, right? These people who worship Donald Trump, they put their face in his dirty, disgusting diaper, or they just blindly vote for Donald Trump in the hopes that he's going to deliver on some of the campaign promises that he's made. We all saw yesterday was his 100th day. And, the polls came out. He got an F. Donald Trump got an F for his first 100 days. And they say that's the worst grade any president in American history. And actually, I don't even like to use American history. I'll just say that's the lowest grade any president in the entire universe has gotten. Because how do you end up, ladies and gentlemen, becoming the president of one of the most powerful countries known to mankind? You got all the levers to actually help make you a successful president, and he somehow managed to just mess it up. And I do mean he messed it up for everyday Americans. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me check the audience. Are there any Trump supporters out here? Is there anyone out there that still supports Donald Trump? If so, please identify yourself. Zeus owned by Trump another day. Okay, thank you for validating what I already knew, because you all come to my show even though I don't understand why. I'm going to give you Trump supporters the opportunity of a lifetime, all right? Here's the deal. If you do not want me to ruin your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and everything in between, why don't you do me a huge favor? Go and hang out with these fake TikTok hosts. You know who they are. They have lives on this app, and their lives usually cap at around 30 to 40 people. Yeah. And these are some miserable people, right? These are some low lives people. These people, they argue in circles and they argue until they're blue in the face. They always say, show me the screenshot. And then they bring up the screenshots and then they totally misinterpret it. And they use it in some way to try to support what Donald Trump is doing, even though the Supreme Court said don't do it. You go hang out with them because they'll lie to you, but not over here. I'm going to ruin your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between, because there's just going to be so much truth coming out. All right. So if you do not want to experience that, like I said, just leave right now, because it's going to get very, very uncomfortable. But get this, you don't got to take my word for it. Listen to your leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, If you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. So you've officially entered the Thunderdome. Ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do, I want to start off today's show. Donald Trump on his 100th day, he did two things. He did a rally in Michigan, all right, and then he also did an ABC interview. And there's just one theme in both of these that I just can't seem to shake. He is hell-bent on insisting that what he thinks and what he believes is true. I mean, and so I'll start out with the ABC interview, but I think we really do need to ask Donald Trump to resign, because I'm actually at the point now where I believe Donald Trump really believes what he says is true, and there's just nobody around him that is actually brave enough to tell him that what he believes is absolutely a lie. And we've all had relatives that had this condition. This is a nasty condition. This is the kind of condition that leads to the destruction of a country like this one, because if there's no one out there that's going to actually tell him that the thoughts that are actually going through his head are wrong, then what is going to stop him from just basically ruining everything on the earth? I mean, this is crazy stuff right here. This is an interview. Terry from ABC News. I don't really follow these reporters and interviewers like that because, it's all the same. But this was actually a good one. I watched this interview. Actually, I posted a video of it. And I said, now, that's honestly, if I were to sit down and interview Donald Trump, I would do it just like this. I would have to, because you got to respect him as the president. But I just couldn't walk away from an interview with Donald Trump or anybody without asking some questions, right? You just can't let people sell you stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You go and buy a car and they tell you, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this, and that. And then they just sell it to you. You don't even negotiate. I mean, what kind of country are we living in? You got to negotiate. You got to push back against some of the stuff people are saying to you to make sure you've actually done your due diligence and show the world that you're not a free thinker. So what we'll do is we'll start off with the economy and listen to Donald Trump's way of explaining the economy. And all I can say is buckle up, because it's very concerning that he really believes this. All right, so let's go.
Yeah, I would really say that the border is so important.
And we'll get there. Immigration, huge.
Yeah.
And
We'll get there.
But I want to start with the economy, the number one issue for so many people, for just about everybody. It's one of the main reasons that you're back in this office. And now we have this trade war with China that Moody's and other analysts say is going to cost American families thousands of more dollars per year. And there is a lot of concern out there. People are worried. Even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on.
So he tells Donald Trump, there are people out there that didn't sign up for this, which is this roller coaster that we're on right now, ladies and gentlemen. He's basically picked up where we left off on the pandemic. And if you haven't heard the latest news about the state of the economy, go to wherever you gather your news, and it says the economy is going into reverse from Donald Trump's abrupt policy shifts. And this talks about the tariffs and the contraction going on in the economy. So how many people out there signed up for a recession / depression? I'm just double checking. Did anyone, when they cast their vote for Donald Trump, did they sign up for a depression recession? If so, please place a 1 in the chat, because I would love to ask you, well, why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris, right? W Zeus. Because they said it was, why I said it? Why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris? Because you remember what he said, right?
The stock market is only up
Remember he
because
said
they
this-
think I'm going to win. And if we don't win, according to many people,
Remember he said this-
including one of the greatest Wall Street
Scott Bessent.
prognosticators,
Remember he said-
Scott Bessent. Has anyone heard of him? One of the most brilliant guys on Wall Street. If I don't win, you will have a 1929 style depression.
Right.
Enjoy it.
So
I believe that.
There you go. So
I believe that.
So if you signed
I believe
up,
it.
hold on. So if you signed up for a depression, then you should have voted for Kamala Harris. So you can't actually say you did that. But Donald Trump is out here convincing his supporters that they actually signed up for this, which is equivalent to Jim Jones, right? It's equivalent for Jim Jones to say, you signed up to drink this Kool-Aid, right? And so, I mean, I'm just watching this and I go, he really believes this stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
I said that we've been abused by other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day on trade. We were losing $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion a year, not sustainable. They were taking advantage of us like they've never. I could have left it that way, and at some point there would have been an implosion like nobody's ever seen. But I said, no, we have to fix it. I've wanted to do this for many years. You know, I had the best economy during my first term. We had a tremendous economy, tremendous success, and we did tremendous numbers of tariffs on. We took in a lot of money from tariffs. China in particular, hundreds.
So he's convincing his supporters that he made a bunch of money off of the terrorists and that the money that he made off the terrorists came from China. There's polls out here, a resounding 90% of Americans now understand. You can go look at these polls. This is why his poll numbers are terrible. Everybody in America know, except MAGA, that it's us who pays the tariff. So if he's talking about he's taking in all this money from China, he's lying. He's taking in all this money from you. All right. And none of you got raises. I know that. And the cost of things haven't gone down. Do the math. You know, I heard a number yesterday. They said, Zeus, if a product costs $100 to make in China and then Donald Trump slaps 145% tariff on it, how much then will this product, if China eats it, how much then will China actually, pay? And it's impossible. You can't pay more than 100 because that's what it costs. So where's the other 45%? They say you can't do the math, MAGA. You can't do this. The math he's doing. Basically, they say this is actually equivalent to an embargo, and we'll get into that in just a second. All right.
Billions of dollars in tariffs. We had no inflation, as you know. We had an incredible economy. We're given credit for a great economy. But I said, we have to fix this. Otherwise, it's just not self-sustaining.
Well, one of the things you ran on was you said you'd bring prices down on day one, and that it would happen fast, and that it would happen fast.
I
And
have.
most economists will tell you that tariffs will raise prices. So don't your tariffs cut against that promise you made to bring prices down?
No, because I had massive tariffs on China, if you remember, in my first term, and we had essentially no inflation, like around 1% inflation, which is like a perfect number. And then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. It went to probably the worst inflation we've ever had. I mean, we had an inflation nightmare. Now, if you look at what's happening now, we're only there for 100 days, as you say. And in 100 days, we took over. We had bad inflation for 4 years, for 2 years of, especially 2 years of his administration. I would say record-setting like we've never seen. They say 48 years, the worst in 48 years. I say it was much worse than that. Yeah. Right. So now if you look at what's happened, energy is down. Gasoline hit $1.98 in a few states.
Has anyone seen gasoline at $1.98? Please come up in the box right now. If anybody could come up here and tell us where to get this gasoline at, I promise you'll make Big Zeus's day. You'll make my day. Does anyone out there know where gas is at $1.98? $3.30 in Florida. So obviously Donald Trump is lying. Again, the thing about this is he believes this. That means there's people who got college education, who have a college education. There's people who are supposed to have good common sense. There's people who should be Christians. They hear him say these things and they say, you're right. Because they don't stop him and say, hey, if you keep saying that, people are going to think you're crazy, right? Because the test of this, MAGA, is imagine Joe Biden mumbling around the White House saying things like this. Yeah, gas is $1.98 in his crooked voice, because you all said he was super sleepy. I promise you, y'all would have had a conniption fit if Joe Biden did this. So don't get mad at the Democrats or even the independents and even the real Republicans. When we're sitting here showing you this is a cognitive situation going on in the White House, either this man is intentionally lying or he really believes this stuff. Which one is it? Because if he really believes this stuff, get him out of here. We don't need to see anything else. The show's over. But if he's lying, then why would you continue to support this liar? See, and then, they get mad at me because I'm telling the truth. Well, I see the people in the comments getting upset. Did you not hear me at the top of the show?
Trump himself.
Hold on. If you not hear me at the top of the show?
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country,
and you do.
If you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Hold on. I'll do this real quick. Rupert?
Your party's dead and over, boy. Dead and buried, never coming back.
Is that all you have to say?
Dead.
Is that
wokeism's dead, and you got nothing left. It's all over. Your race baiting, your obsessiveness, you're crying.
Rupert, you can say all of that. When you meet with me, I charge $300 an hour, Rupert, for consulting.
You lost the electoral.
Rupert, $300 an hour for consulting services. If you want to talk to me like that, we can meet one-on-one. Just send the money to the Cash App. But in the meantime, Rupert, honestly,
say when and where. Dude, say when and where.
Yeah, I said
when and where, pussy.
Oh, okay, Rupert. There you go. So Rupert clearly doesn't have the funds to actually have a one-on-one conversation. Rupert, I would never, ever want to be anywhere near you. As a matter of fact, Rupert, I don't even know why you're in the United States right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a MAGA demon right there. And what I'll do is this. Hey, Rupert, honestly, you're upset and you're angry because, once again, Big Zeus has exposed who your dear leader is. You're not mad at me. I don't have any control over you. I'm not the one, the reason you're getting laid off. I'm not the one causing the gas prices and your energy prices to go up, Rupert. You know who's responsible for that. It's not me. It's not Sleepy Joe. It's not the Democrats. It's this guy right here, your dear leader. So, Rupert, why don't you do me a favor, bro? Okay. So you got on my show, you violated the TikTok guidelines, and you used some nasty language. Rupert, do me a huge favor and go straight to hell. Bye, Rupert.
Silence, you mother demon.
Hey, Rupert, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep doing what I was doing. I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to make you listen to what your dear leader says, whether you like it or not, all right? Thank you.
The last couple of days, it was $3.50 and $4 and $4.50. But gasoline is way down. When I took over, you remember the big thing with eggs. They hit me
Here
the
it goes,
first week.
Rupert.
Eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't cause this problem. This problem was caused by Biden. What's the problem with eggs? And they said, they've doubled. And, well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved.
A lot of that is.
And by the way, and there were plenty of eggs for Easter, which we just went through. There were plenty of eggs for Easter. They were saying you won't have enough eggs for Easter.
Right.
My secretary did a fantastic job on eggs. Groceries are down. Everything's down. Interest rates are the same. Interest rates should be down, but we have a Federal Reserve that wants to be stubborn. They want to be cute.
We'll get to that.
Well,
You said something.
So this is something he's going to be hammering into the minds of his supporter. And by the way, Rupert, you got a violation on my platform, so you'll never be allowed to get in my box again. Mods, please discard of him conveniently. All right, W Zeus. That's blasphemy. You just don't come up in here with a foul mouth like that. And I know you call yourself a Christian, but I promise you, I'll see you somewhere on the internet getting caught doing unchrist-like things. All right. So yesterday he had his rally, his campaign rally in Michigan, and what did we get at? He once again brings these eggs up. I mean, it's a common theme with Donald Trump. All right, and anybody that believes this, honestly, something is truly wrong with you. We're gonna get this on the record, and then we'll get straight to judgment. All right? Yes, yeah, we're on this. We're gonna get this on the record, and then we'll get straight to judgment. All right?
87%.
Here it goes.
Now, the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing, but
Here we go.
And our first 100 days have also produced historic results in the battle to defeat Biden's inflation disaster and bring jobs and wealth back to America and bring them back to Michigan, okay? We want to bring them back. As an example, since I took office, the cost of eggs is down 87%. Now, right? You remember a few weeks ago, before Thanksgiving, before we heard about it, I heard about it a long time ago. Before Thanksgiving, I heard about it. And then I was hearing that I wasn't president. This guy was barely president. Nobody knew, was he president? Who the hell was president? To this day, I say it was the one that operated the auto pen, but what do I know? But I was hearing about eggs, and then all of a sudden we have a great election victory. And my first week in office, they start screaming at me, "What about the price of eggs? Eggs, eggs." I said, "I've only been here for 6 days. I was there 6 days." I said, "What's wrong with eggs?" They said, "The price of eggs has gone through the roof and you won't be able to have them for Easter." So I put a very capable Brooke Rollins, who's our wonderful Commissioner of Agriculture that you know in Michigan.
Here it goes.
I said, "Brooke, I've only been here 6 days before I heard, maybe even less, maybe 5, maybe 4. But it was my first week. And I said, "Brooke, you got to save me here. I'm getting killed about eggs. What the hell's going on with eggs?" She said, "Well, you can't get them. The price is through the roof, and it looks like we're going to have a real problem for Easter. You're not going to have eggs." I said, "Brooke, that doesn't sound politically viable to me. That doesn't sound good. Because nobody's going to believe me when you get out there that it's Sleepy Joe Biden's fault. So, Brooke, you got to get going, Brooke, please." And she did a great job. And you had so many eggs for Easter, and your price was down 87% from that point.
So let me ask the audience again. Has anyone seen egg prices drop 87%? This means because other day he said it was 93 to 94%, but now he's dialing it back 87%. So that means you should be able to get a dozen eggs for around 75 cents or so. Has anyone been able to find eggs for 75 cents at any store? Let me see. No. Okay, so once again, we have caught Donald J. Trump in another lie. Grocery prices have not gone down. Inflation is getting worse. The economy is actually contracting. We're actually in the middle of a depression, if you ask a lot of economists. But only people that are in the cold, that are sipping, they do like this, and they sip on that Kool-Aid. They're the only ones that are still out here cheering this nonsense on. Meanwhile, everyone knows their 401ks have basically plummeted. Look at the stock market right now, ladies and gentlemen. Go look at the stock market. Wow. This is nobody's fault except for Donald J. Trump's down over 600 points. I'm looking at it right now, over 600, almost 700 points. This is incredible. And if you go look at what he just posted on his social media platform, he's still trying to blame it on Joe Biden. You know what? It's Lake of Fire time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's warm up the Lake of Fire. We got to give Donald Trump another round of booze and shame because this is what you deserve when something's going on up here. And the only people that believe you are your followers, while the rest of the world clearly knows you're just not qualified to do this job. The most unfit president in American history. Rupert! Hey, Rupert! mean, it's shows like this, ladies and gentlemen, you just got to say this is what we need more of, because, you know, maybe the Democrats don't have control of government, but what we do have the ability to do is get the truth out here so that everyday Americans know things that are actually considered common sense. And what's considered common sense? Things like who pays the tariff? When Donald Trump says he put tariffs on China, who pays the tariffs? Do we all know the answer by now? Because the poll says 90% of Americans know the answer now. Who pays the tariffs? China? We do. W to the chat. It's us. It's us. Yeah. That's why he freaked out when Jeff Bezos was going to put on the order when you buy something from Amazon. He was going to put the import price. That's why Donald Trump freaked out, because he didn't want y'all to know it. All right. But we all know it, and we know how to go find out what the actual cost was. All right, W Zeus. Now we'll do one more. Clip of this interview, and then I'll open up the box. This part of the interview, this is when I realized that there's something wrong with Trump's. All right, this goes back to Albrego Garcia, the man that has been the Maryland man. I'm going to call him the Maryland man. I mean, because this was a father who has a child that has autism, who's been a victim of a two-tier justice system. I'm going to say it. He's a victim of a two-tier justice system. And Donald Trump used the Alien Enemies Act of, 1898 or something, to do something very, very just ill and evil to this guy. If the guy was a criminal, you know what you should have done? You should have allowed the courts to convict him, right? And then use that conviction to justify it. But Donald Trump says, you know what? I don't need the courts to do it because I'm the judge, I'm the jury, and I'm the executioner, right? And the Supreme Court says, not so fast. And so now we get Donald Trump on the record, right? And this is what makes this part of the interview incredible, because I promise you, this is going to be entered in as evidence, all right, that Donald Trump is willfully not obeying the Supreme Court. All right. And we're going to get this on the record, and then I'll take questions right after. Rupert, I hope you're still listening, because you might learn something from Big Zeus.
The hearing first to make their case.
Well, are we to...
Who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case.
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
No, you aren't deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number is 20 million people to flow in?
By the way, the number of people that are in this country undocumented is nowhere near 21 million. If anything, they say it's around maybe 10 to 11. So once again, Trump supporters, I keep catching you in these lies. These are a bunch of self-owned moments. And can he just stop mentioning Joe Biden for once?
Our country, you had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border, and they were prisoners, and they were people that you don't want in many cases in our country, right? They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo, they came from South, they came from all over the world. We're talking about some of the roughest countries in the world they had here, including terrorists, by the way. Now, but did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Well, the law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Thank you.
Well, I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this: if you're going to have 21 million people, and we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law is the law, sir. The law is the law, and you're
the law doesn't say anything about trials.
No, not trials, hearings.
These people came in, they're not citizens, they came in illegally, they came into our country illegally, we have to get them out.
There's a legal process for that.
I can't be sure, and we follow the legal process. I can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country. Right, so we have to get them out. And we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process. Right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Yes.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
So he's caught. This is how you know Trump is caught. They get due process. He said he's going to check with his lawyers. None of your lawyers told you that, Trump? None of them? That's wild. And then he said they get due process, and he says they get a process. Wow. Just violating the Constitution at discretion. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for this, MAGA. And this is why we keep holding your feet to the fire. But it gets worse.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say.
Right.
They get whatever my lawyers say. Did you just hear what he just said? Is that really what the Constitution says? You get what the president's lawyers say?
Let's talk about the Venezuelans. You deported more than 200 Venezuelans to that prison in El Salvador. You say they're violent, they're gang members, they're terrorists. Many of them don't have a criminal record at all.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. If you take a look,
I want to read you something.
Excuse me. When you look at those people, they were violent people.
So when you look at those people, they were violent. Whoa! So your lawyers just told you all you got to do is look at them, and that'll let you know everything you need. But your lawyers didn't show you anything like perhaps some of your convictions. They didn't show you any of that. That's just wild to me, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what kind of lawyers do you have? I mean, we saw what happened last time when these so-called lawyers gave them advice. Take a look at Rudy Giuliani.
They were violent people.
But many of them don't have a criminal record at this point.
I
want to read you something.
This is sad.
Oh, it's based on their lawyer, what their lawyers have said. Okay. Joe Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, one of the leading podcasters, Trump supporter, about the deportation of Venezuelans. He said, quote, rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, he said it was dangerous, and added, quote, we got to be careful that we don't become monsters.
Thank you.
While we're fighting monsters.
You hear that, MAGA? Joe Rogan said it very plain and in English. We got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. Ask yourself, MAGA, do you really still think you're not a monster after you've separated women from their children? You're sending children with cancer out of the country that are American citizens. You're detaining Americans. It's an egregious abuse of power. MAGA, newsflash, you are the monsters. And that's why you got folks like me, Big Zeus, doing what I am doing, sending you one by one straight to the lake of fire. All right. Because outside of that, you really are in a lot of trouble. And I hope when I send you there, you actually go back and get remorseful. And if you are a Christian, truly get on your knees and repent to the dear Lord, because you have forsaken the Lord. You have. And you need someone like me to let you know you have, because whether we agree on things in terms of policy, that's one thing. But when you just turn into a monster like this is beyond politics. This is an issue with your hearts. This is an issue with your souls. Your souls are truly on the line, MAGA. Get it right.
Rogan right.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, we want to be careful, and we are careful. We're doing something that has to be done. We have a country that's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening, but the people around him are vicious people, and what they've done to the country is unbelievable. They've allowed 21 million people to pour into our country. Many of these people are criminals.
We've heard this.
They've allowed you mentioned Venezuela, the jails of Venezuela to be emptied into the United States. Do you know Venezuela crime is way down? Way down. You know why? Because their criminals are now living happily in the United States of America, and we're getting them out. And I was elected to get them out, and we're getting them out.
Under the law.
And we're getting them out fast, and we're getting them out illegally. Now, in some cases, we have judges. In some cases, they're radical left judges. What happened the other day where a judge was protecting a criminal was horrible. And I think she's got big problems, frankly. And there are a couple of them like that.
I want to talk about one
Wait a
man.
minute. We have to be treated fairly by judges. And we're not being treated fairly by all judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
Let me ask you about one man in one court.
Here goes.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order that he not be sent back to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in court that was a mistake.
Oh.
And now the Supreme Court has upheld an order that you must return him to facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us. Should not have said that. And just so you understand, the person that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member.
No, he's not.
A tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife.
No.
And the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay?
Lies.
This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands,
Came into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a
You could get him back.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in his office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he
Supreme
is.
Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that
Really?
you always said was wonderful, great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty clear.
He's pivoting,
I
but
campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed
Nobody's
borders. He
asking
said you
him
couldn't
this.
do it. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Typical
It would never
Trump
happen.
behavior.
Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop.
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
Why?
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and go on to something else? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone on the planet knows that the letters and the numbers MS-13 on the knuckles was put on the photo. That is not the real tattoo. And the symbols on the knuckles don't even look like the gang that Donald Trump is saying he belongs to. So I had no other choice but to conclude Donald Trump, somebody slipped him the photo, wrote MS-13 on it, and gave it to him. And he said, yeah, that does say MS-13. And he didn't notice that there's a difference between Photoshop and the real deal. And yesterday's interview seems like it's the first time, perhaps, that this was brought to his attention. And this is the sitting president of the United States of America. If this is confusing, you can only imagine how confusing the economy is. And good Lord, you can imagine what Vladimir Putin is doing to Donald Trump and Pete Kegsbreath. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to do this last round of Lake of Fire for the Trump administration, because we have all the evidence we need that shows Donald J. Trump, this administration is the most incompetent administration known to mankind and worthy of another, you guessed it, round of Lake of Fire. Ladies and gentlemen, you know exactly what to do. Let's send them there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry to get that all on the record. All right, but it's very, very important that we are all on the same page about the state of affairs in this country. W. Zeus. But now I'll go to the audience. I'll go to the audience now. Are there any Trump supporters that are brave enough to want to come up here real quickly and tell us why you're still supporting Donald Trump, or should I just continue to do the Democrat steamroll on MAGA? Because I don't mind either way at this point. I don't mind. Somebody wrote, wait a second. Why are you subscribing every week? Karma, this is my backup account. You don't have to, Karma, subscribe on the backup account. You don't have to do that on any of them. My main thing is it's more important you're all here and getting the information, you're getting inspired, honestly, to go out here and be free thinkers, all right? And don't fall for the okie doke that Donald Trump is doing, because him and his supporters, they get off, all right, trying to keep you in the dark about what's really going on. And what I do is I like to shake things up, you know what they say, shake, rattle, and roll. All right, let's move it along, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring up my first guest. Good morning, Miss Morningstar. How are you doing, Miss Morningstar?
Good morning, Zeus. How you doing?
Good morning.
Oh, I'm doing well.
How have you been and what's going
Good to
on?
talk to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh man,
I think
there's a
there's
whole lot going on. I see.
Can you
Yeah, I
can you
hear
hear
you.
me? I think there's a
He's up to
delay.
his same old lies. I see. And
Yeah.
his tricks.
I think there is a delay. Can you drop down and come right back up, because there's a
Do
huge
we got a
delay.
bad connection? Is
Yeah.
this better?
Yeah. Drop down and then come back up, because there's a huge delay when I'm speaking to you. All right, but send me another guest request. I see there's some Trump supporters in the chat that are getting extremely triggered. Keep it down. Who did this? Stevie J. Hey, Stevie J. If you don't have anything nice to say, Stevie J, you know what you can do. You can scroll on to the next broadcast where they'll lie to you. All right.
Hey,
Oops, sorry.
Zeus, is this better?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. There's no delay. Yeah. What do you got
Okay.
for us this morning?
Oh, just listening to you, giving this truth out. Same
Thank
old
you.
dog, same dog, same old tricks. He's
Yeah.
still up to his same tricks and treats, giving out lies.
Yeah.
I listened to that interview and I was just blown away. Just listening to him just bluntly sit up there and tell on himself. Now, he always is telling on himself.
Yeah.
Did you hear him say, yeah, I can call him. I can call him right now, but that'll be breaking the law. But the law, the ones that dictate the law, which is SCOTUS,
Yep.
already gave you the order to bring this gentleman back home.
Yep.
But you, for some reason, feel like you're the law and your lawyers are the law. It's you can't make this stuff up, Zeus.
You can't. You
You
can't.
cannot make this stuff up.
Yeah, we're not
And
making
today-
anything up. And his supporters, for some strange reason, they're very upset with the way that we're calling this stuff out. Why do you think that is?
Because they're just like him, and they can't come to terms or even admit a little bit that they made the biggest mistake of their life, and now they're going to pay, and now that their families are going to pay.
Thank
and
you.
They will never admit it. They would never admit it because they're just like him.
Uh-oh,
Birds
look at
of a
this.
feather flock together. Who's
Tell
that
him.
up here?
We got Paul. Paul was not agreeing with us, and he's not being agreeable. So Paul,
Who's in this talking place? What's going
It's
on?
not.
Paul?
It's not that I'm not agreeing. It's that we need to stop fighting with each other and start helping each other. You know, it's all hate.
You gotta come to the right- you gotta
All
come
that
on to the
needs
right
stop.
side, Paul.
The Democrats and the
wait,
Republicans.
are you listening to Miss Morningstar? She's
Yes, I'm
responding to
listening.
you. You're
But
over talking her.
Everybody needs to help each other out. It's all
Paul.
about hate.
Paul,
We need to
calm
stop
down.
killing each other. And you know what? He's
I had
Paul
to mute
doesn't
him.
listen. Paul doesn't listen.
What
too
do
well.
what do you think
Paul,
about
you
him
have to-
saying that?
Paul, the first thing you need to do is come over to the right side, because what you're doing is, if you're still following this wannabe dictator, then you're clearly on the wrong side.
You hear that,
So
Paul?
Paul, you gotta start making better choices.
All right. Now, Paul, I muted you because you were over talking us. I don't talk. I don't go off on like 3 or 4 minute rants and then try to interject with a 10-second response and then allow another 3 minutes. So if you're not willing to actually try to come together, Paul, then it just to me seems like you're up here blowing smoke. And I don't think that's really what you were intending to do, Paul. Are you? Paul, hit unmute. Yeah, Paul doesn't. Oh, okay. Well, Paul, I can't talk to you for some strange reason. You can send another guest request. Sorry, Morningstar.
Okay,
I just wanted to give him the opportunity to speak directly to you. But yeah, please continue.
I'm
Wait a second, Morningstar. Hold on. No, hold on. Come back up here, Morningstar. Paul, you can send another guest request. I'm sorry, Morningstar. Sometimes there's a glitch with TikTok. All right. But you can send another guest request. Morningstar, where did you go? Send me a request. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes TikTok does that.
I'm back. It's okay, Zeus. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's TikTok, tick. You know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. But finish.
Paul,
What do
clearly,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say is, I mean, this is the same rhetoric that we've been hearing for years. Like, this is not anything new when it comes to old frumpy Trump. He is the same person. Every time he gets on these interviews, he absolutely gets on here and tells his constituents the truth about what he's doing. I mean, which is, and then he'll lie about everything he said out of his mouth. He'll turn around and make it to be a lie. Everybody will believe him, and he'll go to Michigan and do a whole rally as if he's still trying to run for president, when he clearly is the president right now. I mean, it's a whole bunch of dysfunctional delusion when it comes to this person. Yeah. And I just can't, for the life of me, understand why people can't see through this.
Thank you.
Or they just choosing not to see through it.
And that's really,
I think, is a choice.
Yeah, and that's really what we're trying to do. Paul, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Paul.
All right. So we're trying to really have a very serious conversation about getting people all on the same page. And you seem like you came up here in good faith. Now, did you vote for Donald Trump? That's my first question.
Yes, I did. I did only because, and it has nothing to do with sides. It has to do with trying to fix. You know, we're so much bad in shape. Something needs to be done.
What has he fixed?
Nothing has been done lately. I don't know. Nothing has been done.
What has he fixed? What has he fixed in 100 days? What has he fixed for the American people?
For one thing, we're getting out of debt.
Paul, are we getting out of debt?
I mean,
how are we getting out of debt? Do you know what a tariff is?
What's going on is that everybody.
Paul, do you know what a tariff is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is a tariff?
I know what a tariff is. It's charging taxes for items that go on that side, come on this side. It's all about taxing certain products to the countries. To what countries? To the people. Like if I was to get something from over there, I get charged tax. You know, so why is it that we get taxed?
Who suffers from tariffs?
Wait, why is it that when we get taxed?
Paul, here's the thing, Paul. We're trying to find a way to work together. But every time you're being asked a question, because we gotta, how can two people walk together unless they're on the same page, right?
The way
Paul, how can two people walk together unless they're on the same page, right? That makes sense. And what we're struggling with you is you're throwing all of these questions out here, or we'll ask you a question.
Paul got a daycare going on.
Paul?
Yes, I'm right here.
Every time we ask you to kind of stick to the topic, you're going into these other areas. I understand you voted for Donald Trump, but the question here is simple. Who pays the tariff?
We do.
Okay, so we all agree on that, right?
Exactly.
So how is that helping you?
Well, for what he's doing, he's trying to bring America's products back, trying to form more businesses. Instead of taking all our business from another country, just like
Paul.
Levi's not even here.
Paul,
we need to form.
Paul. Let's slow this down for a quick second. Paul, let's slow this down for a quick second. Let's imagine you're buying a car at the car dealership, right? Would you try to get a good deal on that car?
Yes, I would try to get a good deal.
Okay, now imagine me saying, I'm going to make you get a very terrible deal on this car because I'm trying to save the world. Would you buy that? I need you to just pay an extra 10 or 20% in interest so I can save the world. Would you then say, well, that's a noble cause. I'll take the 10% hit and go ahead and finance this vehicle. Would you do that, Paul?
That's not a fair question.
No, it is a fair
question.
No, it's not a fair question because what it's doing is that you're not letting, I mean, we're not forming any businesses. Our people here need companies. We need companies that pay very well, and we don't have
When will the companies come back, Paul? How long would it take to get a manufacturing up and going here? How long will that take?
Well, I don't know. They've been out of the country for so long. We don't know how long.
Paul,
No.
So, Paul, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. Paul's willing to risk it all.
You know, under no conditions would you take a hit to your pocketbook like that under the assumption that somewhere along the way things will get better. You don't operate like that in real life.
I mean, sometimes you have to.
You never do that. You would be, but Paul, let's be clear. You do that. You that's how you do business. You believe in people promising you things that they can never demonstrate to be true. He's lied about these deals with these 200 countries. There's not even 200 countries. So at a certain point, Paul, if you go to the dealership and you got your significant other, like, you know, Morningstar, you might do, and your husband comes back and they tell you, oh, this is the deal, and you look at it and it's a terrible deal, what would you do?
We'll pass on the deal.
Thank you.
We're not going to take a terrible deal. Why would we make our family suffer for years and years and years? Because guess what? The tariffs are going to have to continue going. If he is trying to bring manufacturing back, that means we're going to have to keep paying tariffs. That means the shelves will be empty. That means these big superstores won't be able to get the products that they need because we depend on these other countries for years, decades to do trading with. Well, this is how America has worked for centuries.
Thank you. So, Paul, you get that, right? We're trying to stop you from taking a bad deal. And
I get all that. I get it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that right now isn't a time to where all parties need to get along and work with the people because we, the people, should be controlling the country, not the government.
We, the people, need to make a decision, Paul, and we need to go ahead and get these Decepticons out of the White House. It is full of criminals. It is full of people who are unlawful. We got Pete Heck, Seth Keg Breath boasting about ending woke programs on women's security programs.
Yeah.
We need to get these Decepticons out of the White House, period, point blank.
You hear that, Paul?
This is not working for the American people.
How can we?
And it is not happening with none of the presidents.
But Paul, I think this
because everybody's fighting with each other.
But Paul, this is why a conversation like this is very effective because we don't need the government to have this conversation as regular people, right? You and I and Morningstar and everyone else, we can have this without the government refereeing it.
Exactly.
So why can't we get our act together first and then demand accountability? You're trying to do it backwards.
That's what I was trying to say at the end. I was trying to bring that up.
Okay, so then let's stick to that. All right. So we all agree that it's a terrible thing to take a 10% extra hit on a car loan with the person selling the car telling you, I just need you to do it because I'm trying to save the world. While that's a noble while that's a noble cause, unfortunately, my bottom line is my bottom line. And you and I and everyone here have to come to this point where we know Donald Trump's tariffs are not good.
But
they're not good for us.
But for the meantime, that's what we got. So we need to tell the Democrats, hey, you need to help us out, and everybody needs to get along and work the situation instead of fighting with each other. And it's not happening. Everybody's just picking at each other. They're just picking.
Why? Okay, Paul. Have you taken the time to ask yourself why are people arguing amongst each other? Have you took the time to think about it? Why are people arguing amongst each other? Why? Who's dividing the country? Who is the commander in chief?
Well, that's what needs to stop. But
who are you telling needs to stop? Are you saying you regret your vote? Do you regret your vote?
No, the people need to stop.
No. It's not. Let's take the people out. Who is the leader of this country right now?
Where does it need to stop? President Trump.
Where does it need to start at?
It needs to start with us.
It needs to start at
Yes,
the
it
top.
does.
Do
Because
you
we, the
understand what
people,
leadership
we should
means?
control the country, not them. We should control it. We're the ones. We vote for these guys. You know, we vote for the guys that are in Congress. We vote for all those
So you
guys.
voted. So
And the
why did you
people, the
vote? Well,
people are
why did
not
you
voting
vote for
because
president?
Biden
Why did you
wasn't
vote for
doing any
Trump?
good.
Paul.
Because Biden
Paul,
wasn't
you're
doing
not
any
making no
good.
sense,
Paul,
bruh.
Paul, we're
Biden
Bruh,
wasn't
you
and
doing
say
anything for our
Morningstar
country.
Morningstar is being super kind because I
I'm
know
being
how
really
she
nice.
strongly feels,
Yes.
and we're really trying to reach you where you're
Bruh,
at, Paul.
you
But you can't
faded.
convince us that somehow this is all the Democrats' fault when it's the Republicans, the people you voted for.
I'm not saying
So
the Democrats' fault.
okay,
It's
so
the
when you say
Republicans and the
we,
Democrats.
so when you say we, I assume you're including me and Miss Morningstar in that statement, right?
The
So
hardworking man, the hardworking people that are suffering right now that can't afford food, the ones can't afford electricity,
But who's
the ones that are
doing it,
losing their
Paul?
jobs, all of us, all
I'm
of us.
glad you're admitting you're suffering, Paul. I'm finally
Yeah.
glad you're admitting that.
I've been suffering
Who's
for a
causing
long time.
this? Who's causing this, Paul?
You know what I mean?
Who's
And that's
causing
what I'm trying to
this?
say is that we're not
What are you
speaking
trying to
out.
say?
The people are not speaking out, just very
No, no, no,
few.
no, 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 no,
Everybody
no,
needs to speak
no.
out.
Paul.
There's only very few like you. You're
Came
speaking out,
in the
right?
door for
You're
Paul?
speaking
Who
out.
came in the door for 100 days and is causing all of this rhetoric in our United States? Who's doing it?
Well,
So,
Who's
Paul,
doing it, Paul? Admit it.
I think we need
Just say
more,
it.
like, what
Paul,
Paul
your
can't. He
show,
can't say it. Zeus.
Paul,
your show. Look, listen, your
if
show.
you're not going to try to at least meet
You're
us
not
in the
gonna be able
middle,
to say
Paul, it's kind of like I don't get it. If you want to really try to fix this, you're going to have to acknowledge that the Democrats don't have power right now. Do we? And I'm glad you acknowledge that you are suffering. But I also need you to reflect on the fact that Donald Trump is selling you a bad deal. Under no circumstances in your regular life would you ever allow somebody to sell you something at a rate that is way above the price it is worth, under the hope that it's somewhere down the road it's going to get better. And you're like, well, will you even be around at that point, right? Because tomorrow's not promised. Think about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Paul, why can't you admit that you made a mistake?
I don't know how to explain my point. That's probably what it is.
But your point is you're hurting, your family is hurting, you're suffering, and it's not getting no better. And he's not doing anything to try to help make your situation any better. Why can't you just admit I made a bad decision? Because do you think if we had our dear Vice VP Kamala in power that we would be going through this? Do you think that the stock market would be down? Do you think that we would have all our allies mad at us? Do you think that we would be out here wide open for everybody to look at us as if we're crazy to even have such a person, such a delusional, demonic force that does not care about anybody in this world, who's a narcissist, you look at the evil in his eyes.
Yeah.
You can look at the picture Zeus has up behind you. That is a evil old man. And he's at the age now nobody can tell him anything because he's on his last, he on his way out. So he don't care who he hurt.
Yeah.
Well, we still have children here to raise in this world and make it a productive world while he's out here encouraging hate.
You get that, Paul?
You know it. And you know it, Paul. You know it.
Well, listen.
So you need to just make a change. You got to admit that you made a mistake, and you got to do better, Paul. You just got to do better.
And that's pretty much it, Paul. We're going to need you to stick to just actually being honest with yourself. I think that's the lesson of the day. And W Morningstar, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah. Now we got to move the show on, but Paul, great job doing what you could to try to support Donald Trump. But unfortunately, bro, we got to get to judgment. Do you regret your vote? Yes or no, Paul?
Do I regret it? No.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Paul,
warm it up.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give Paul a first-class trip straight to the Lake of Fire. Oh, we can't have that. All right. Well, listen.
All right, Zeus. Well,
thank you.
You keep up the good work.
You too. Thank you for tag teaming with me.
We're not gonna be able to save them all, but it is what it is.
Thank you. I appreciate you,
Thanks
ladies
for
and
the gifts,
gentlemen.
guys. Y'all
W
have-
Miss Morningstar, no lies detected. Yes, no problem. Yeah. Okay. All right. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't take long. I mean, he was very respectful on the platform, and that's a good start, right? But you know, Paul, we have to get to a place where you are able to look at the situation and say, yeah, it does not make any sense for me to risk having a great Christmas. I don't know if you heard about this, but Christmas toys are going to go up this year, and there's going to be a lot of toy companies that are going out of business as a result of these tariffs. And when this all happens, I'm not going to accept that Joe Biden caused this. No, we all know who caused it. It's Donald J. Trump. Somebody said, stop lying. Kimberly, hold on, Kimberly. Now, you know that's going to get my attention. Kimberly, could you come on up here? Kimberly, come on up. Oh, judge orders Columbia student to be released. Thank you. Ooh, come on up here, attacking real quick, and tell us all that wonderful news, because Kimberly, I know, would love to hear it. If you can, attacking, please let Big Zeus know what's happened. Oh, Kimberly, listen up. This might make your morning, Kimberly. And Snuggie, you too. Yes?
Yeah, so right now across my TV screen, judge orders the Columbia student to be released. I guess he's talking outside of the courthouse right now.
Oh, W Democrats!
I sent Morningstar a question in her DM while you were talking to Paul.
Yeah.
I sent her the try to ask him a question. What item do you buy weekly or monthly that you're willing to pay an additional 20-25% for the next 5 years until that manufacturer comes back to lower it back to a normal price that you're paying now?
Paul, are you there? If you don't mind, Paul. We all know he's buying food.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Maybe coffee.
For every person that supports this, how long are you willing to pay a higher price for the items that you buy constantly for Donald Trump because you think it's going to become better? They're going to bring these businesses back. And you got to realize that these businesses aren't just going to pop up tomorrow in Vermont or Colorado or Utah or whatever to start lowering the prices.
Yeah.
Also, the cost to manufacture that item is going to go up because of the policies and the guidelines that the United States has in regards to manufacturing certain items. Plus, some of the materials that are made in that item may not be here in the United States. You have to import that product.
Yeah.
Those ingredients. So get off this kick.
Yeah.
So seriously.
Thank you, attacking, because you're saying things that we've been repeating ad nauseum. And it just seems like slowly but surely it's starting to sink in. It's really slow, the progress we're making.
Right.
But we got to keep up this work of making sure everybody understands how these simple things work, because most people don't pay attention to it. And I really do believe people like Paul thought things were really bad under Joe Biden. They really thought things were bad under Joe Biden, but now they're finding out they weren't that bad.
Right. And did you see the interview Trump did trying to keep he had MS-13 written on his hand?
Yeah, we did that at the top of the show. We played that all.
I was making a video of that.
Nasty.
You're probably doing that.
Nasty.
So Jesus, that's Photoshop. You people who support him, you love him. He's lying to you in that video.
Yeah.
Lying to your face, calling him, the interviewer, fake news.
Makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, hold on. You want to know what truth is? Here,
what's that? Go ahead, attacking.
I'll show you what truth is.
Yeah.
Here. This is what truth is. There's truth. See how simple that is?
W attacking.
See how simple that is?
Yeah.
I'm a liar, felony 34 counts, and the other one says actual predator.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that is the truth, ladies and gentlemen, and we see it for what it is. Wow. Yeah, see, and these people know it attacking. They know that's what it is.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
it's I mean, Zeus wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if you guys who support Trump wouldn't allow him to lie to you and manipulate you.
That part.
It's not the fact that we're calling you
Rick.
Calling you stupid or dumb or anything like that. It's the fact that your actions and your own words signify who and what you are.
Yeah.
It's your words, your actions. We're just here trying to tell the truth about what's going on. You're the ones ignoring Zeus, picking on Zeus. What do you get paid, Zeus? Well, who's paying you, Zeus? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So what? If Zeus is making $100,000 a month, who cares?
Thank you, W attacking.
Who cares?
It's jealousy. It's really jealousy. They ignore the fact that I show up pretty much on time every day, minus 5 or 10 minutes. But you know who doesn't, right? I mean, and I do this because guess what? We love our country, right? Attacking, W attacking.
And the thing is this:
we love our country. You gotta save it.
Trump supporters, if we didn't care for you, we wouldn't try to be reaching out to you to give you information so you could re-educate yourself to where you could see what the truth is that you're not listening to because you support Trump so much. We're not asking you to believe us. Zeus isn't asking you to believe him.
No.
Zeus is asking you to do your research on the information he puts forth so you can re-educate yourself, because you are the only person who can change you, not Zeus.
Thank you.
Not me.
Thank
not
you.
anybody else.
Thank you.
You are the only person who can change you and your thought process.
Thank you.
You're the only one who can say, wow, I've been fooled all this time because now I'm reading something that I've never seen before, never heard before. Now I'm going to change. It's kind of like a shrug addict.
Yeah.
Until that shrug addict decides to understand the catalyst of what made him do or them do what they do. Once you understand the catalyst, and you conquer that demon, that catalyst that caused you to do something, you're not going to fix you.
Nope.
So until you guys do your own due diligence, listen to other people, and then research what they say, only you can fix you.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's show attacking some love. W attacking. Thank you, brother. All right, you two. Only you can prevent forest fires. You all know what I'm talking about. That's Smokey the Bear. Thank you, attacking. Let's go back to the audience. Do we have any Trump supporters in here that want to come up here and explain why the stock market is not really doing so hot today? Can any Trump supporter come up here and tell us all why the stock market is performing like it's performing right now? I would love to hear your explanation and carry the one, subtract 6, all that math you do. I would love to hear it. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a Trump supporter. I'll bring you. Oh, someone wrote, been watching Biden lie for decades. Mary, how about you, Mary? Mary, send me a guest request, Mary. Please come up here and tell us what President Biden lied about while the stock market is going down and while Trump's poll numbers are tanking, Mary. Please, Mary, just let us know how you got to that place. Send Big Zeus a guest request, and I'll bring you right on up here, Mary, all right? All right, let's move it along, ladies and gentlemen. All right, who do we got next? Oh, my goodness. All right, SZ, you said something in the comments earlier. Welcome to the show. Yeah, Mary, you can send me a guest request. Good morning, SZ. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just another day in the kingdom, trying to, sift through the Trump supporters to see which one of them are worthy of kind of bringing out of the cult. Oh, you are.
Well,
so what do you got to say for us?
I'm not a Trump supporter. But I'm law enforcement.
Okay.
I want to ask, and personally want to confront these MAGA demons, and want to ask: Are you okay? Are you okay deporting a 4-year-old U.S.-born citizen who had cancer to Honduras? A 2-year-old a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? And not too long ago, there was a raid
Yeah.
that unfortunately these family members were not part of the raid. They were not on that so-called civil warrant, not a criminal warrant.
Right.
Civil warrant.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what? Civil. Wait a second. So what's the difference between a civil warrant and a criminal warrant? It's just a warrant. That means the FBI can go in and do whatever they want, right?
No. A criminal warrant has to be signed by a judge. A criminal warrant has to be signed by a judge, stating that there was a alleged criminal act. They need to search for evidence, and specifically on that criminal warrant, they have to list down what they are searching for. You ever heard of fruit of the tree?
Yeah.
It's a term. It's a term. Well, per se, if they find already set evidence on that criminal warrant, they can't all of a sudden come up with other evidence that they found. Once they found all that evidence, all that rest of the evidence cannot be used in a court of law. But I digress. Going back, the civil warrants are not criminal. They are not even signed by a judge. Everyone, all those that don't understand, and all those agents, so-called agents who are wearing masks, you have every right to ask them for their badge number and their name.
Think about that, right? Isn't it scary that these are masked individuals showing up in unmarked cars and just randomly detaining people with no explanation? Isn't that one of the most scariest things you could put a person through?
It is the Gestapo 2.0. It is this Gestapo 2.0. And the reason why, because if you look at all those the Nuremberg trials, I kid you not, they're hiding their faces because they know what they're doing is inhumane, and they don't want to be caught, and they don't want to be set in civil or criminal trial. And I kid you not.
Wow.
This is.
Get it out there. It's fair to get it out there, because I need the Trump supporters, especially the so-called Christians that say they are protecting the children. I need them to hear this.
They are not. They are not. They are not. I'm not going to go with that. I'm not going a religious route.
Yeah, you don't need to. I can do that too. Yeah.
A human being, as a human being, with empathy.
Yeah.
You find that okay? And as a law enforcement officer, I took an oath to protect my community and uphold the Constitution. All you law enforcement officers who stand by and steady simping over Donald Trump, you are the Gestapo. You are the brown shirts. Because you are supposed to uphold the Constitution. You are supposed to protect your community, protect it. And I kid you not, these agents that are doing this unspeakable injustice, this unspeakable atrocity, snatching people from cars, going through houses. These people in that raid have lost their electronics and their savings. The government took their money away from them.
Wow,
and
that's crazy.
They just moved in. They just moved in that house within 2 weeks of their stay. 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they were not part of that. They were not part of that so-called warrant.
So I got to ask this question. If you, as a person who's, worked in law enforcement or working, what would you recommend someone do if they were approached and their manager or supervisor said, I need you to be a part of this? I call it gang activity within the Trump administration, because it's a gang too. Would this be a good time for them to just say flat out, I can't do it, and resign? I mean, because you just got to ask yourself, why are people going along with stuff they know that at the end of the day, like you said, they put the mask on because they don't want to be identified later. Well, if you got to do that, that should be a sign that you maybe this isn't a good idea, right?
You, as a law enforcement officer, you have every right to question your order, your directive, because we're technically supposed to be paramilitary trained. We're going through the academy and whatnot. The issue is that we, as law enforcement, and this is an old set mind, but within the ever evolution of or the progression of community, law enforcement are not understanding what the law is and what it's supposed to mean, what it's supposed to mean. And that is a disservice because, again, if you look at history, law enforcement police were technically, going back to history,
right,
rounding up and people who are running away, slaves who are running away.
Got it.
And that and you look at everything, and it progressed through as times progress. You had already, excuse my language, I recall that one so-called test that they had to do where they had to swim across a river or swim across a lake. Stuff like that was racial. Yes.
Wow.
So now, and I apologize if I went off track, but for those that civilians, read your Constitution, know your rights, because one thing a law enforcement officer does not like is someone who knows their rights.
WWSD, because that's deep. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that, but you're spot on.
And another point, if they're wearing masks, you don't have to talk to them. You don't talk to them. I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer present. You don't need to talk to them. Once you insinuate, I want my lawyer, they stop. Because then they know. And if a law enforcement does not provide their badge number or their name, then they know that they are at the wrong. They are at the wrong because technically they are supposed to, per their policy and per every state. Again, and this is my issue is some states are different because you have a lot of states that are pro-police because they know they are at the wrong and it's infuriating.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate that insight, sir. All right. And I think you've dropped a heck of a lot of knowledge on us this morning. And I hope people are really paying attention and taking what you said to heed. All right. Because it's really getting serious out here. I've never thought that in 2025, you used to read about stories like what's happening now, and say, oh, like you said, these things used to happen back in the day, but now they're actually happening today. And it's quite alarming to say the least. All right. All right, SZ, thank you so much.
Thank you, and please, you do a wonderful job. Hit these, spew the facts, pressure them, make them feel uncomfortable. Make every single Trump YT and make every YT person uncomfortable because if you are uncomfortable, you're spewing facts. And that's the damn truth.
Amen.
Excuse my language.
No, that's fine. We can live with that. All right, bro. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my good friend SZ. All right. You know what? No lies detected. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that amazing? All right. Let's get to the box. Are there any Trump supporters that are brave enough to come up in the box and challenge us? Maybe one more Trump supporter today, because that's pretty much all I think I need to deal with. Any more people out there who love to worship Donald Trump, who believe Donald Trump is on the right path? I saw Mary. Oh, you have something to admit to me, Tiny Tank Top Tim. What is it you want to admit to me? And it better be serious. What is it?
I am going to admit that the tariffs are hurting me. I cannot get a pressure. Hold on. I cannot get a pressure valve for a hot water tank. I can't get a pressure valve. My life is over. I'm done. I can't fix the hot water tank. I guess I'll just have to buy a new one.
All right,
the tariff is hurting me. I can't get a pressure valve.
I know that you're kind of being sarcastic, but I also know that
I'm being very sarcastic.
But in all of that, I think that there is something to this water valve issue. So you tried to order
I can just buy a new water tank.
Okay. But you couldn't get the valve, but you could order the tank, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna have to meditate on that. But I appreciate you admitting that. That's the first step. All right. But we got a long way to go because
I admit that I can't get the pressure valve. I don't regret the tariffs at all. I think they're a great idea.
Okay, yeah, I get it. That's why I said there's a long way for you to go, but that is a step in the right direction because believe it or not, if you continue to search, if you continue to search,
officer on your live he was telling people how to avoid getting in trouble with the police. He's not very good at his job, is he?
Okay. Well, that's a different can of worms, but I want to move on because I think that you've done something that I didn't think you were capable of doing, which is you took a step, a leap of faith, and I'm going to leave it at that. All right. Okay. I'm all right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Tiny Tank Top Tim Tom. All right. He admitted to, W Zeus couldn't get the water valve. I need more stories like that from you. And I wanted to say this, if you just opened up your eyes, you're going to start to see all the other areas that these tariffs are actually harming you, Tiny Tank Top Tim Tom. All right, seriously. All right, do we have another Trump supporter out there? All right, yes, W Zeus. And I promise you, do we have another Trump supporter out there that is brave enough to get in the box and come up here and tell the truth and shame the devil? Please put a 1 in the chat. All right. I guess we could go back to the Democrat shuffle. Good morning, Takesha. How are you?
Good morning, Zeus. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Another day. I'm hearing the stock market's not doing so well.
I know it ain't, Zeus. Don't start me to laughing this morning, Zeus. I try to be good, Zeus.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
One thing I did want to say, Zeus, is I'm glad you're making money. Because when I sent my cash out request, you always sent something.
Thank you.
And as long as you blessing me, you're going to get some blessings. Zeus.
Amen.
I want to go to Walmart today, so when we get off the show, Zeus.
Yeah.
When we get off the show, just send me another cash out.
Amen. From your lips to God's ears.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, Zeus.
Talk to him.
I wanted to talk about the big crybaby that was interviewed. He did all that whining. You're not nice to me.
Yeah.
I picked you because I didn't know you.
Yeah.
Whining and crying. That's what he do.
Right.
He wanted to pick somebody that wasn't going to push back.
Yeah.
That was going to sit there and just let him lie and fly.
Yeah.
But listen, Zeus, the big lie he told was this one. I only been in 6 days. I didn't know anything about the price of eggs. You talked about eggs on the campaign trail.
Thank you.
Well, how you didn't know we was in an egg crisis?
Amen.
And if we don't have eggs in our house, the White House gonna have eggs, because the White House have everything we don't. So don't come brag and tell me y'all had enough eggs for y'all Easter egg hunt. Because if they had to take eggs out of all our house, they was going to have enough eggs at the White House for the Easter egg hunt. So that was not a flex, Donald Trump.
Bingo. Hit them with it. They know this.
That was not a flex.
Yeah.
You knew about eggs before you got in the office. While you lying, telling me you didn't know anything about a shortage of eggs.
Hey, man. Hey, Mary, I hope you're listening to Takesha because she's basically proving you to be a liar, all right? Obviously.
And then the guy that was on with Morningstar.
Paul.
He said he didn't regret his vote. Zeus, the people could be kicked out their house, sitting on the side of the road with a sign that say, "We'll work for food." And they'll still swear they support Donald Trump. And they act like if they say, "I regret my vote," that Donald Trump personally knows them and is going to come to their house and get them for saying they regret their vote. What are they afraid of, Zeus?
Well, you know, the cult, if you leave the cult, they'll come after you. You know that, Takesha. If you leave the cult, they're gonna ruin your life, right?
Zeus, they swear the motorcade gonna come down their street and Donald Trump gonna get out and say, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you regret your vote? How dare you publicly say you regret your vote? He's not gonna do that, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, we're the Democrats telling us something we need to come to their side. No. You all caused this.
Yeah.
We're not coming to you. Y'all need to come to us. We don't want to get along with y'all. Y'all need to try to get along with us. We're not finna overlook the fact that our bank accounts are shaking. You know, as soon as I went to swipe my debit card, I had to swipe it on my knees because my bank account was just that low.
Lord have mercy.
What we're not finna do is come to y'all side. We're not gonna be talking about hate until y'all talk about the hate that y'all elected to be over.
So,